All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle one of the biggest questions out there. What is reality really made of?
I mean, think about it. From a tree branching out all the way down to particles smashing together, what if there's a single, hidden geometric pattern that connects, well, everything? What if the answer isn't some tiny particle or mysterious force, but just a shape, a blueprint that works everywhere? That's exactly what we're going to dig into.
So to start, let's just look around us. At the world we can actually see, right? It's filled with all these patterns that, they just feel strangely familiar.
And you've seen this, for sure. The way the vans in a leaf look just like a river delta seen from way up in space, or how a bolt of lightning kind of resembles the neurons firing inside your own head. This stuff isn't just a random coincidence, no way. It feels like they're echoes of some deeper rule, some organizing principle running the whole show.
And that idea leads us straight to the most famous of these patterns, the fractal. This is where you get that beautiful, kind of chaotic order that we see all over the place.
The idea behind a fractal is actually, shockingly simple. You just take a basic rule and then you repeat it over and over and over. And what you end up with is this incredible structure that looks pretty much the same no matter how far you zoom in. It's that classic idea, the part contains the whole. And this isn't just some abstract math concept, right? Our universe is literally covered in these fractal fingerprints. I'm talking about the massive spiral of a galaxy all the way down to the tiny, intricate network inside your own brain. It's the same exact principle, self-similar branching happening again and again. Let's call this the fractal tree. It's the big, visible stuff.
Okay, so the fractal tree, that describes the world we can see. But what happens when we zoom way, way in, past the trees, past the cells, all the way down to the very foundation of reality, the quantum realm, where the fundamental rules are being written? Do we find the same kind of patterns down there?
All right, let's dive into the quantum world. Because if the big stuff is the tree, we need to find the seed that it all grows from.
Okay, check this out. For decades, when physicists wanted to calculate what happens when particles smash into each other, they used something called Feynman diagrams. And they worked. But wow, were they messy. I mean, we're talking calculations with thousands of complicated terms. But now, there's a new way, the amplituhedron. And get this, it takes all that insane complexity and collapses it down into one single, elegant geometric object. It's a total game changer.
Now here's the really mind-blowing part. The amplituhedron lets physicists figure out these particle interactions without using space or time in the equations at all. Think about what that means. It's this huge hint that maybe, just maybe, space and time aren't fundamental building blocks of the universe. Maybe they're just emergent, things that pop out of a deeper reality that is purely geometric.
And this is where it connects back. So, the amplituhedron, it's not a perfect fractal, technically, but it's built with the exact same kind of logic, that recursive self-similar thinking. You've got smaller bits that build up to create larger bits, which look kind of like the smaller bits. It's like a quantum echo of that fractal tree we see in the big world.
Okay, so let's take stock. We've got our fractal tree, all the patterns in the visible world. And now we have our geometric seed, this amplituhedron jewel at the heart of quantum physics. But what's the connection? How does the seed grow into the tree? Is there some kind of blueprint, a lens that focuses the whole thing into existence?
Well, believe it or not, the answer might come from a really unexpected place, an ancient spiritual tradition. What you're looking at now could be that very blueprint. This is the Sri Yantra.
So, what is the Sri Yantra? It's this ancient, sacred geometric diagram that comes from a philosophical school called Kashmir Shaivism. And to them, this was no mere decoration. They called it the hardware schematic of the universe. I mean, think about that. A literal map of how reality itself gets structured.
Let's break down how it works. You're meant to meditate on it, moving from the outside in. You start with that outer square, the bhupara. That's the material world, the stuff we can touch. Then you move inward, through the lotus petals, which represent our senses and how we perceive the world. Then you hit the really dynamic part, the interlocking triangles. These are the forces of creation. And where does it all lead? To the bindu, that tiny point right in the center, the silent, unified source of, well, everything.
And here is where it all clicks together. Look at this. Our seed, the amplituhedron, that's the bindu, that central point. It's the source code. Our tree, the fractal world we see, that's the bhupara, the outer square. It's like the desktop of reality that we interact with.
And what about the lens that connects them? Well, that's the interlocking triangles. They're the processor, taking that simple quantum source code and projecting it out into the complex desktop we experience.
So, if this blueprint is so perfect, you'd think you could just, draw it perfectly, right? Well, this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn.
Because here's the paradox. It's actually mathematically impossible to draw a perfectly accurate Sri Yantra. If you use perfect straight lines, you can't get all the intersection points to line up exactly. There's always a tiny error, a little bit of a gap. It just doesn't quite fit.
But, and this is the crucial part, that's not a mistake. It's actually the most important feature. That little bit of mathematical tension, that so-called impossibility, is said to represent something called spanda. It's this divine throb or vibration that keeps the universe in motion. Think about it. A perfectly symmetrical, geometrically perfect diagram would be static, lifeless. It's the glitch that's the very spark of life.
So its imperfection is its perfection. See? The diagram isn't a flawed map of a perfect reality. No, it's a perfect map of a dynamic, vibrating, and therefore beautifully imperfect reality. And this quote just nails it. The geometry isn't just for show, it's ontological, which is just a fancy way of saying it's meant to be an actual map of how reality structures itself. The geometry is the thing. So, that leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending question to chew on. We started with a simple tree branch, and we ended up with a geometric jewel at the very heart of physics connected by this incredible ancient blueprint. If our entire reality, our universe, you, me, if it's all just a projection from some deeper geometric source, then what else are we simply seeing the shadows of?